This is Eric Rutan of Cannibal Corpse. You are listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast with Andrew McKay Smith.
Ahoy, everybody. Still got bloody jet lag, and I feel like I'm on a boat or in a plane, one of the two. But I'm not. I'm here right now presenting to you a chat with the great Hugh Cornwell from the Stranglers. Now, the catalyst for our conversation is due to an Australian tour, which is happening later on in 2024, specifically throughout July and August, and I'll put those dates in the episode description. Occasionally these sorts of conversations get presented, and I'm eager always to have a chat with someone who's had such a significant impact on the popular music lexicon. So ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the great Hugh Cornwell. Here he is. How are you?
Yeah, good. I thought for a moment you were Andy Mackay, the he was. I thought that name rings a bell. He was the saxophone player with Roxy Music, wasn't he?
I think so. I think you're right. Certainly part of that sphere of things. Yeah, it's not far from that. I think I should drop the Smith at some point, given it was added. You know how it was in Scotland. I think at the time they added the anglicised names from ease of business's perspective. So the Smith actually has nothing to do with this. It's just Mackay. But
I see. And where are you located, Andy?
On the Gold Coast in Australia.
Oh, I love it up there. I love it up there.
Fantastic. Great. You spent some time here then, from the sounds of things.
Well, I've been a few times. I came over with the Stranglers a couple of times, and then since. Can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yeah. And then I've been over. Various times. The last time was about 4 or 5 years ago. I think about 2018. I think it was.
I've had a really good chat about your collective experiences, meaning with the Stranglers, with JJ actually, and he told me all about Nuclear Device, the song, and why that was written. And but something else he told me, which is what I'd like to ask you about. I'll ask you about now is your experiences with running away from. Well, you had to run away from the police when you toured here. Was it 1979 or 1980 when they tried to bash you guys up in Brisbane and you had to disappear across the border? Does that ring a bell?
No.
There you go.
No.
JJ told me a story about you guys.
Ring any bells. Well.
Oh shit. Okay. He was saying that at the time the Bjelke Peterson government didn't look too favourably on bands that were subversive, if you like, or considered subversive, and the police turned up and started roughing up the members of the audience, and then eventually turned on the band. There you go.
Well, I don't know where maybe it was a dream he had, because I can't remember that. There you go. Everyone has a different memory of things. You know, you can have two or four people who experience the same event, and if you listen to their account of what they experienced, you would think that they were at 4 different events. So there you go.
What was?
I don't. I remember having to leave Sweden. I remember being escorted to the airport and being put on a plane to leave Sweden because we were in fear of our lives. But that's the only country where I feel that has happened.
Peaceful old socialist Sweden. What the hell happened there?
There was the sort of teddy boy a group of guys called the Raggare, and they were teddy boys, and they took a disliking to us, and they were chasing us on the highway, and we had a police escort, and we were going to the airport to leave. It's the only time I can remember. But I don't, those sort of things. I don't spend a lot of time, remember. I like to remember the good things about the past, rather than unpleasant things. So it's whatever turns you on, really, isn't it?
You're not wrong on that front. I mean, you've been your solo career at this point. I think I'm definitely right in saying this. You've been on when you say on your own, doing your own thing for about 3 times as long as you've been in the Stranglers, haven't you?
Well, getting on that way, yeah. So it's what happened back then is at the end of a long periscope, to me, and I don't spend a lot of time dwelling in the past. Really, I can't even remember the things that I did when I left the band, for the first 10 years. Even that's a bit of a blur. Because, to go back even further is, with me, is tough.
Yeah, I can understand that, because it's not like you've ever rested on your laurels. You've always got something going on.
Well, I just try to keep busy, because if I don't keep busy, I get depressed. I get bored, and then I think I might be a bit dyslexic, in the sense that if my attention span is very short, I can only focus on something for a short period of time. And so when I lose attention for something, then I get bored. If I don't put my attention to something else, I get bored, and then I get depressed because I'm inactive. So I just try and keep busy, and it's for self-preservation, really. That's the reason for it.
I love your books, by the way. You do a great job.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Do you think that, I understand that you've got a Stranglers retrospective, if you like, out there, the multitude of sins, gold and brown, but to be quite frank with you, far more interesting would be to get your personal take on your career. So do you think a biography is going to be in the works at some point?
Well, Multitude of Sins was a sort of autobiography. Wasn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it's really about the Stranglers. At this point, you.
Oh, I see. Yeah, since the Stranglers, you mean?
Yeah.
I guess I did focus a lot on what had happened while I was in the band. Yeah, and also actually, there's a chapter about what happened before the Stranglers. Everyone thinks that the Stranglers was the beginning of everything, and actually for me it wasn't. I had a very interesting 2 or 3 years in Sweden with a band there, which didn't amount to much, but we got up to some very interesting exploits while I was over there, and it just might be made into something you can watch. We're just talking with people about it now.
Do you get asked a lot of questions about Mr. DeMille, your podcast?
No, but I welcome them. It's a thing of passion for me. It's my great escape from the world of music is to get into the world of cinema, and I love watching movies. I love talking about them. I've started writing scripts, so I love writing for the screen, and I find every aspect of it fascinating. It's like to me, it's an alternate universe. It really is. Forget virtual reality. The cinema to me is alternative reality.
Agreed. And something, I've just come back from a cruise overseas, a heavy metal cruise that I went on in Miami, and I always use these long bloody flights you've got to take everywhere, because coming from Australia, that's just the deal. But to watch these fantastic old films, and one of the ones that I caught was Vertigo. So yeah, brilliant film. But I've listened to your podcast, and that's pretty much the sweet spot for you to mine, isn't it? Those classic old Hollywood films.
Well, yeah. I mean, it not only does it fascinate me, but it's good to know that some people are listening and finding out stuff that they find very interesting, and things that they follow up too. I mean, I've just completed a program about an English actress called Belinda Lee. It hasn't been, we haven't broadcast it yet, and she was a beautiful, very talented actress from Devon in England, and she died a tragic death at the age of 25 in a car outside Las Vegas, and her career was on the verge of going mega, and that she was being tipped as the English Sophia Loren. And then she died tragically, and very few people know about her. And she had quite a turbulent life. So it's great to find these people that you can share this knowledge with people that want to hear it. That are avid to know about it. There's so much in cinema, isn't there? I mean, it's apparently there's only 500,000 feature films ever been made. Now, do you find that hard to believe?
A little bit, yeah.
That is a figure.
There you go.
I'd have thought a few million, 4 or 5 million, but it's actually only 500,000. in the history of cinema of films that have been released as feature films. Which so if 10% of those are any good, and 5% are fantastic, then we've still got quite a few to watch that we don't know about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're back on point. Yeah. Hugh, you strike me as an old-fashioned Renaissance man. You know that?
Well, I do like the Renaissance, I have to say. It was a very exciting period. And it's what is a Renaissance man?
Someone who's interested in culture from an academic standpoint. That's the way that I term it, and that's pretty much you summarised in a broadly, very high level, at a macro level.
I am interested in it all, and I'm interested in how it relates to the evolution of culture. Is very interesting as well, and how it seems to be. It doesn't seem to be evolving. It's just. It seems to be going around in circles as far as I can see. And we're due for a circular motion very soon. And I think the internet will bring that about. People will suddenly realize that the internet doesn't actually create any culture anymore.
Right, yeah.
But maybe maybe that's just an old-fashioned way of looking at the internet.
No, I think you're right. But the next phase in our journey, collectively speaking, is how we negotiate AI, because there's going to be versions of songs out there, probably are already out there, that have got your signature vocal stamped all over them, but you haven't sung them. It's all artificially generated.
Oh God! Don't tell me that, Andy. That sounds like a nightmare about to happen tonight. I'm in the evening here where I am. So
yeah, it's not good, mate.
It's not good, is it?
Yeah, no, it's horrible. But it's unfortunately, you got entire texts and novels that are being written by AI. And look, as a writer, and you as a writer too, and as someone in the media, will no doubt be able to differentiate that from something that's penned by a human. But for a lot of people out there, mate, they simply don't give a shit. It's just stuff to consume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we all become consumers, I guess. That's the. But is there a difference between? Can a consumer have taste? That's the thing. Are we allowed to have taste as consumers?
I think
we're being denied it, aren't we? A lot of the time, a lot of the time, it's just give them something to consume. To consume. It doesn't matter whether it's any good. Just they want to consume stuff, and there's a certain act about consumption that doesn't need any doesn't even consider the word taste in it.
Well, people like you and I enjoy and experience. We don't consume a thing.
Exactly.
And that's the proof of that is in your creative output, because you don't sit there and absorb things and go, well, what's next? Like a McDonald's bloody Happy Meal or what have you. You're actually out there doing it and contributing. That's the key differentiator.
Yeah, but most people aren't. Most people in the world aren't like that, are they? They just say, "What's next? What's next? Give me something else to consume, be it a film or a bit of music or whatever." And they don't really have a faculty of differentiating between whether something's good or whether something's mediocre or whether something's awful. It's just all stuff, isn't it? It's all stuff.
What's your take on the global? When I say global, the Western Hemisphere, so United Kingdom, United States, Australia, our part of the global existence, if you like. What's your take on the political landscape at the moment?
Well, it's a complete mess. I mean, I would love to quote you a Mark Twain quote I came across recently. Remember him, the American writer?
Course,
he said that. And this is quite a nice comment linked to what you just asked me. He said that politicians and diapers should be changed frequently and for the same reasons.
Yeah. Just the subversive nature of musicians and music. A lot of them these days are on the side of big politics and politicians who interfere in people's daily lives. It's a very crazy point to be in when you've got someone like Johnny Lydon saying that what's going on in the British Labour Party at the moment is abhorrent. I never thought I'd have, I'm paraphrasing him here, but We're seeing that
Yeah.
it's not really about left and right these days, if I can claim to frame it that way. I really look at it from the perspective of it's whether or not a government interferes in your life, and the governments that choose not to.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, maybe we're heading for a state where people are going to accept a benevolent dictator, rather than a democracy. It's a weird state of affairs, isn't it?
Well, that's what happened with Rome. Yeah, it's history repeating itself.
Yeah.
Okay, when Rome moved into being an empire like that, and I don't know, we seem to be repeating a lot of what goes on in the past. I find that the more I read historical texts or just Wikipedia entries, if you like, about what happened in civilizations of bygone eras, we don't change really at all. We're still humans, whether you're 10,000 years before Christ or right now.
That's right. We haven't really learned anything.
No. Well, we don't listen to the artists and the wizards and the chefs and the creators. You know what I mean when I say that. It's the creators that are actually moving us forward. It isn't the economists and the bloody bean counters.
Well, we try and move it forward, but are we actually just, trying to move up a down escalator, I think, as an artist that I saw recently. It's like trying to walk up a down escalator. You think you're going up, but in fact, you're just being carried back down again. Doesn't matter how fast you climb. Doesn't matter how hard you try to evolve. You're just on a down escalator. Maybe we are. But let's stop this doom talk, Andy. Let's get back to what I'm here for. I mean, I think there's a tour coming up, isn't there?
That was going to be my next point for you. I mean, in and amongst all of that, we've got these great white, the white lights of hope on the horizon, which are in and amongst all the doom and gloom. We can look forward to a show from you. There you go. And we can listen to all of the great songs that you bring to life.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, the last time was in 2018, I think, about 5 years ago. So it's about time we came back, and I'm looking forward to playing some of these new songs from the Moments of Madness album too.
Fantastic. Do you think you'll be playing any songs from Totem and Taboo?
Oh, yes. We'll be visiting as many albums of mine as we can. We just pulled out Totem and Taboo and Bad Vibrations on the. I recently did a 2 weeks, a lot of shows in the UK in January last month, and Totem and Taboo and Bad Vibrations were in there. So we'll probably won't stray far from that selection, I think.
What about, and look, you must anticipate this question every interview, but is there a demand for Stranglers music?
Say that again?
Is there a demand to play Stranglers music? Like, do promoters sort of put that into the bylines in your clauses when they offer you a contract to tour somewhere?
Well, I couldn't possibly do a concert without playing any Stranglers songs. So there's always a certain percentage of what I do in an evening will be. I think I'd feel very weird, and I wouldn't feel right if I didn't play any of those songs. They're my songs, so why can't I play them? So I think there'll be a smattering of the classics, in there, definitely.
What about my personal faves, Duchess, Something Better Change, Walk On By, any of those tunes?
Well, there's so many. I mean, we worked out, the three of us, we were working out our repertoire. We said that if we played all the songs that we've worked on, we've been playing for about 6 years now, this lineup, Windsor and Pat and myself. If we played all the songs that we've ever learnt from the Stranglers and my catalogue, we'd have to play for about 6 hours. And the Stranglers section would be about 2.5 hours of that. So there's quite a lot of to choose between, and I'm not quite sure which ones we're going to be pulling out for the Australia, to be honest.
It's tough to please everybody, though, isn't it?
That's right. You think you've done it, and then someone comes up after and says, "Why didn't you play da da da? That's my favourite." There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Indeed. Yeah. Anytime Brisbane is mentioned in a song, it's worth celebrating as far as I'm concerned. And Nuclear Device, The Wizard of Oz, did you write the lyrics to that song?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, someone told me about him, and so I knew about him, and I just thought it was a fascinating subject for us. And also, the Wizard of Oz was a ready-made title, from the film. So I could not write it, after being given a title like that on a plate.
I think you've got the honour of having the most prominent song ever released outside of Australia featuring Brisbane, a reference to the town of Brisbane, city of Brisbane, I should say.
Yeah. What was the name of that? What was the name of that tavern that we played when we went over there? And it ended up in a riot, and they ended up stopping the gig. And then I think it might be that this might have something to do with what John was talking about, but we weren't chased out of the state. And then they closed the venue down, which is what he wanted to close all the venues down, didn't he? And control people's entertainment options.
Yeah.
What was the name of that place? Do you remember the name of that place?
I'll have to look it up, and I'll put it actually in the introduction notes to my chat with you. Yeah, because it's a very important. You were part of a zeitgeist, if you like.
That's right.
In that time period, because there were bordellos and the police were actually running the bars at the time, and the politicians were taking kickbacks. Oh, it was extremely corrupt. A very, very bad time in our history as a state, Queensland state, really, because it was. But like all oppressive environments, some of the best art that we ever produced came out in that environment because you had the real tough bastards doing it.
Yeah. That's right.
The Saints are one of the first punk bands ever, and they came out. You know the Saints, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Chris Bailey, right?
Yeah, they're from Brisbane, and during that era.
Yeah, of course. That makes sense. Yeah.
So you mentioned up top that you quite like the Gold Coast in Brisbane. You've holidayed here before, obviously, in addition to the tours.
Well, I haven't holidayed, but I have spent time there, and I'm a sucker for great weather. I'm a sucker. I don't like sitting in the sunshine, but I like it hot. I like hot weather, and I like humidity, and I much prefer it to the cold. And I spend a lot of my time in hot countries because it agrees with my body and my way of life. And I find it very stimulating. If I'm near the ocean, I can I write. It gets my juices going. I do all my writing, literature stuff, if you can bear to call it that. If I can dare to call it that, I do it all. Scripts. I do it all by the ocean because I find it energizing. It's a whole dynamo. I don't know why it's not. I don't know why tidal power isn't bigger than it is. They say it's very expensive to build the equipment, but it's like a limitless source of energy. It's crazy that it's not being used, and I find it like a battery. I really like recharging my batteries near the ocean.
Well, you should move here then. I mean, I know you've got family and friends and other commitments there, but there are so many Brits in Queensland these days. You'd feel right at home.
Yeah, I know. We've got, I think that in the schedule, there's after we played in Melbourne, there's 3 days off and then Brisbane. So I'm going to put it forward, the plan that we don't stay in Melbourne, but we come straight up to Brisbane because the weather's going to be better.
I'd do it. Yeah, we're experiencing tropical weather at the moment. Coming from the UK, you'll absolutely love it. Yeah.
Yeah, even in July, it'll be good, right?
Perfect. It'll be even better. Winters here autumns are the best by far because you get those beautiful days and the nights are quite mild. But winter's the next best thing really because it can get down to about 14, 15 degrees at night or what have you, but it doesn't go above about 24 degrees during the day. So it's right in the
fantastic. That's the spot for me. That's the spot for me. Yeah, it's great.
Look, I can imagine you don't go around thinking these thoughts that I'm about to mention, but the reality is you are, which is influential. So I'm talking about U2 and also some of the more modern bands like The Strokes. But are you aware of how much of an influence that you've had over modern music?
Not really. I just get on with it. I tell you what. Sometimes I read a header on a website or a BBC or a news site or a headline in the paper, and it reminds me of one of my lyrical pieces. A phrase or something, and I dare to think, oh my God, I wonder if they've been influenced by that phrase that I used in that song or that title, and I dare to think that, but that's the closest I get to actually thinking about it. And then it's only because the familiarity of that phrase grabs me. I think, oh my God, that's straight out of one of my songs, and, but it's probably, I'm probably imagining the whole thing. I can't imagine the influence of I can't imagine it at all. It doesn't make sense to me.
We'd be a lot poorer without your lyrical input. You and Mark Burgess from the Chameleons have probably got the most insightful lyrics in modern pop and rock music.
Oh, great! Well, thank you. And I'm not familiar with the Chameleons' literary work, but I have met them. I think I met them once. They're from Manchester, aren't they?
I think they are. I think you're spot on.
Yes.
Is Middleton in Manchester?
Yeah, I think I met one of them once. A very nice guy. Yeah, very nice guy. I'll have to check out what they write and see if it reminds me of what I do.
They go into a bit more ethereal topics where you pretty much stay on current affairs and topics, with Nuclear Device, The Wizard of Oz being one of an example of what I'm talking about. They wouldn't write a song like that, but together you pretty much have all bases covered on that front.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you. That's great feedback. Thank you.
A song like Golden Brown, you hear it at least once every couple of weeks if you go to a shopping centre or when you're filling up petrol at a petrol station. Over the speakers, loudspeakers, it's a music that accompanies modern society, if you like. But are you happy for that song to be your most enduring, if I can use the word, hit?
Yeah, look, if any of them endure, then that's a positive win-win for me. It's great, and any of them, it really doesn't matter which one. It doesn't matter. At least one, and that song got included in a book that the Performing Rights Society brought out called 100 Years of Verse. And they picked a song for every year of the last 100 years for the century, the 1900s, and they picked the lyrics of Golden Brown was the song of 1982, I think it was. Yeah. So and it's in a book, it's called A Century of Verse, and that's one moment I think that where I was proud of what I'd done. So it was a nice moment. I've got a copy at home.
Yeah, well, you've had an extraordinary career. I think once you're all said and done, and you look back over your life, if you get that opportunity during our next journey, you'll be extremely proud of what you've accomplished.
Well, I'll probably say, "What God, you didn't do enough."
I can understand that, but you've got all the bases covered. I've mentioned it already, but you do the podcasting, you're a writer, you're a musician and performer. Outside of acting, what else could you add?
Ballerina.
Next. Well, that dovetails very nicely. I'll make this my final question for you then, but you've had an extraordinary career, but I know you're not done yet. So what do you think the next chapter holds?
Well, I'm getting into script writing, and I'm hoping that maybe my name will be associated with a script on a movie at some stage. It's early days yet, but I'm learning a lot, and I've got great tuition as well. I've had some great tuition, and it's shaping up very nicely, and it's becoming easier and easier. I'm feeling more and more comfortable doing it. So that would be a nice achievement. Get something actually out there.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to that then. When that comes out, no doubt it'll come out in the next few years with your work ethic.
Yeah, yeah, we've been on it for a while. I've been on it for a while already. So it's if it's going to happen, it's imminent, I think.
Yeah. I just want to add too, I really enjoy your new music too. So I Want to Hide Inside You, I think is the new one, isn't it?
Yeah, I like that. I
That's
love playing that. We love playing that, the band. We just love it. It was a real achievement to learn that. So many bloody lyrics. I don't know who wrote it, but Jesus. The number of lyrics involved, and it's taken a year to get it up and running, but it sounds great, and I really enjoy playing. It's a real achievement to play that song.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. There's a temptation for people to label somebody of your stature as a legacy artist, but I don't think I think that's just one aspect of your career, because and that song was only released, certainly as far as I can see, in a month ago, something like that, and it's vital, it's new, it's fresh, it sounds great. So it's your new material that it'd be a joy to listen to at your solo show, in addition to all of the great hits that you've written.
Yeah, well, that would be great. That would be great. Hopefully the day will come when some of my solo songs are thought of in the same category as some of the Stranglers songs.
Mm.
You know, it's a bit like when the Stranglers first started, we had our songs, but nobody knew them very well. So what we did was we played a couple, and then we threw in a cover version, a song that everybody knew, and it just kept people comfortable. And I sort of stolen that trick for now with my solo material and the Stranglers catalogue. You know, I do a couple of my songs that people aren't so familiar with, and then I quickly throw in a Stranglers one that they know, and it keeps them interested. You see, so I've nicked that idea from what we did earlier and applied it now.
Yeah, great strategy, by the way. Yeah, because you've got to keep people engaged, haven't you?
That's right, and that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, it's been great to chat to you, Hugh. You can tell I'm a fan. I love your lyrical writing and your music and your contribution to modern pop and postmodern pop and rock music. So post 1977, the punk era, if you like. It's just been extraordinary, really. So long may you continue to do what you do.
Well, thank you for your support, Andy, and it was really appreciated. And it puts more fuel in the tank to go forward. Thank you.
Great stuff. Well, I'll see you in Brisbane.
Yeah, see you in Brisbane at the what's it called? The Triffid, I think, is the venue, isn't it?
Yeah, I haven't. The dates haven't been released yet, but that's the venue you're playing at, from what I was told. Yeah,
I think that's where we're playing. Yeah. Good. See you there. I know what
venue.
You look like.
I'll be up the front somewhere, mate. I'll wave to you.
Right.
No
nice
worries,
chatting
brother.
to you, Andy. Take care. See you later in the year, man.
Absolutely. Thanks very much, Hugh. Cheers, mate. You know, the older they get, the better they are. I've got to be frank on that point there. Those that have been in the industry for a long time and managed to not just survive but thrive have the best stories and are some of the most engaging conversations. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Hugh Cornwell, former vocalist of The Stranglers, has had a significant solo career as well. Do check him out. Again, like I said in the introduction, the Australian show dates across July and August 2024 are in the episode description. All right, that's all from me. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and I'm the host of the Scars and Guitars podcast. Until the next one, it's a very goodbye for now.